Tonight on KGW News, a dire prediction from the front lines of a wildfire.
We are seeing and predicting this is going to be one of our toughest fire seasons to date.
Plus, meet the Happy Valley seniors stuck inside for a month because their only elevator is busted.
Stairs is something that my body just does not do.
So what happened when KGW tried to get answers? And he was tired of seeing broken windows and stepped in to stop a vandal.
They don't deserve to suffer because he's having a hard time.
Why the same suspect was arrested, then let go 4 times in a row. And from crime to punishment, we begin tonight with plans to close a prison in Southwest Washington, a decision that has some community members saying they feel blindsided. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. The minimum security Larch Correction Center in Clark County is slated to be shuttered this fall, and while it appears no one will lose their jobs, folks are now asking the state to reconsider. Alma McCarty went to a town hall in Battleground this evening. Alma, first things first, why is the prison being shut down?
Well, David, state officials tell us the decision is in no way a reflection of the facility's leadership or employees. To address the declining incarcerated population sometime this fall, the agency plans to close the minimum security 240-bed prison.
Community members and corrections workers held a town hall meeting in Battleground Thursday evening to discuss how to stop the impending closure of Larch Corrections Center.
Right now we have to fight, and we have to fight to keep this facility open because, as you can see, it has a domino effect to our community and what we do.
We matter here. We're not just some little footnote or something. We matter here. And you need to listen to us.
Attendees say they were shocked to learn the news less than 2 weeks ago that the state planned to shutter the minimum security prison this fall. Department of Corrections officials saying they came to that decision as a response to a decline in the number of inmates statewide.
This isn't making sense. This isn't adding up. What is going on here?
The state's reasoning still puzzling to many. Corrections officers and educators at the prison all see Larch Corrections Center as irreplaceable and invaluable to Southwest Washington.
It gives me hope to see so much positive response from the community, and that we are a strong community and we do all have each other's back.
The Commissioner of Public Lands for Washington State, who is also running for governor, highlighted that those incarcerated are trained to protect the community from wildfires.
We have them currently down in Tunnel 5 fire. Tunnel 5 fire is a huge fire. It is a challenging fire, and we have right now over 40 inmates that are down there who are fighting these fires. It's 10% of our crew comes from Larch.
Inmates also learn other skills that they can use post-release.
Education reduces recidivism by 90%. That is not a joke. That sounds like an insane statistic that you could never say for anything else. And the staff at Larch are supportive of that effort. That is not the attitude that you get everywhere in this world when it comes to corrections education.
We do the work it is that they claim to do at all their facilities.
The DOC says all 115 staff members will be offered jobs at other facilities. And for those who don't want to relocate, they plan to help them find positions locally. However, this group hopes it won't come to that.
If I had a message for the DOC, it would be, I thought we were partners. Have these conversations with your stakeholders so that we're making informed decisions that can do positive things within our state.
Now, the group fighting to keep Larch open plans to hold more meetings and encourages everyone to contact lawmakers and local leaders. Surely not the last we will hear on this issue, so stick with KGW for the latest. David?
Alma McCarty in the newsroom. Thanks so much, Alma. We have a big update on the Tunnel 5 fire burning on the Washington side of the gorge tonight. A little good news because just in the last hour, officials have upped the containment here from 5% to 20%. That's after some level 3 go now evacuations were reduced from essentially a 2-mile radius around the fire to about a mile. Though keep in mind, at the same time, there were new level 2 get set evacuations on the far western and eastern flanks. That is all the way to the White Salmon River. The blaze has grown very, very slightly in the last 72 hours, with officials confirming early estimates that yes, 10 homes have been lost. Today, our Tim Gordon got a tour of the fire line in Skamania County and a close-up look at how crews are battling the flames in gusty winds and on that steep terrain above State Highway 14, still closed, by the way. The air attack has been critical from the start, getting the terrain too tough for ground crews and dousing flames with water drops. More than 500 personnel are now fighting that fire. Winds are forecast, though, to kick up again tomorrow. Meanwhile, officials in Washington have issued a statewide drought advisory. The bright yellow on the map shows parts of the state that are abnormally dry, including much of the western and southwest Washington there. The sections in beige are in a moderate drought. State ecologists say the warmest May on record melted snow more quickly, and what surged into rivers is now spent, which could lead to water challenges over the coming months. We're following up tonight on the vandalism spree that left nearly a dozen downtown Gresham businesses with broken windows. We talked to a neighbor who heard it happening outside his window on July 4th. He said he was sick of learning about small businesses getting damaged, so he decided to confront the suspect.
He expressed a lot of emotional grief, seemed to be intoxicated, but was definitely having a crisis.
Well, Christopher says he followed the man, but says when he heard police coming, the suspect charged at him and they got into a skirmish. What is really upsetting him now, he says, is learning the same man, 25-year-old Garrett Fine, according to police, has been arrested for the same crime a total of 4 times over the last week or so. And each and every time he got released.
Whatever, risk management matrices they're using are flawed, and they need to reassess those. Because they're putting the public at danger.
Well, the Multnomah County DA's office told us today that risk assessment tool deemed the suspect a low risk to reoffend or to skip out on court. But the suspect did fail to show up to court and went on to be accused of breaking more windows. On his 4th arrest, when it seemed like a judge was finally going to keep him in jail, there weren't enough public defenders to take on his case. So yes, he's out on the streets again. Let's talk about the city of Portland's new daytime camping ban. It goes into effect on Friday, prohibiting camping on city property from 8 in the morning until 8 at night, with a 24-hour ban in places that include parks and areas around shelters and schools. Daytime camping in cars or RVs is also banned. Vehicles must be legally parked. For the next few months, however, the city says it will be focused on education rather than enforcement. Eventually, repeat offenders could face fines or even jail time. Well, speaking of homelessness, we had an update in federal court this week that greatly affects homeless policy up and down the West Coast. There is a reason police cannot, for example, just arrest someone for camping on public property any time of day. It's because of the Martin versus the City of Boise court ruling. Now, in 2018, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled a city cannot charge someone with a crime or give them a ticket for sleeping in a public space if there is nowhere like a shelter, for example, for them to go. The judges declared it a violation of the 8th Amendment, meaning it qualifies as cruel and unusual punishment. Well, that ruling helped form the foundation of Portland's new ban. It turns out the same appellate court just made another ruling on a case, this time out of Oregon, one that's gotten considerable pushback from other judges. Pretty unusual here. Pat Doris explained it earlier tonight on The Story.
The ruling is over a Grants Pass camping ban. A 3-judge panel of the Ninth Circuit Court decided last year that the city could not punish homeless people who sleep in public places when they have nowhere else to go. So the city appealed, asking for the full court to hear the case. But Wednesday, the judges denied that request. And now, according to the Oregonian, the lawyer representing Grants Pass says the city plans to petition the U.S. Supreme Court to review the case. It's worth noting that this case is taking a very similar path to that of the Boise case. So will the Grants Pass case suffer a similar defeat in our nation's highest court? Well, time will tell. But there are a few passages from the recent order of that Ninth Circuit that are worth mentioning. A senior Ninth Circuit judge did not mince words when he wrote a statement against this recent ruling. It is easy enough for us behind marble walls and sealed doors to dismiss the consequences of our decisions. But for those who call these communities home, who must live by the criminal violence, narcotics activity, and dangerous diseases that plague the homeless encampments buttressed by our decisions, the consequences of our judicial arrogation are harder to accept. Another Ninth Circuit judge who wrote his own dissent said that the Boise and Grants Pass rulings, quote, use a misreading of Supreme Court precedent to require unelected federal judges to act more like homeless policy czars than as Article 3 judges applying a discernible rule of law. He went on to say the Boise ruling handcuffed local jurisdictions trying to respond to the homeless crisis, while the Grants Pass ruling, quote, now places them in a straitjacket. The two judges who wrote the recent majority opinion rebuffed the dissenting claims. They say their ruling does not allow homeless people to sleep wherever and whenever they want, saying that when there is space in shelters, places can ban sleeping anywhere in public. And if someone refuses shelter, that person then can be punished. So, when you wonder about the legality and careful wording of Portland's camping ban, it's because of cases just like this. As far as the Grants Pass case is concerned, we'll be watching to see if the U.S. Supreme Court decides to take the case, a process that surely will not happen anytime soon.